This lecture, we look at what are the key things that we need to understand with regards to empathy. And I explained to you that when it comes to empathy, it is about providing, they say, put yourself in the shoes of the one you are solving the problem for. So if the customer, you, the service provider, have to put yourself in the shoes of the customer and see whether you will be happy with whatever you are providing for that customer. So that is the key issues that we need to understand with regards to design thinking. And when empathy stage is being executed, there's quite a lot of interactions that come to fore. You need to interact with the customer through interviews and other focus group interview, user research and all those things in order to be able to know exactly what the customer really wants. Because if so if having a customer problem requires that you need to have the feedback or input variable, you need to get some input from the customer, and getting that input will help you in being able to achieve what you are supposed to achieve. Then from there, we move on to the next stage, and that is what the problem definition. Like I said, the most difficult aspect of solving problems is how you define the problem. Like I explained earlier on, in a situation where you yourself don't define the problem very well, you provide answers to the problem which is not fit for purpose. So all the time, we need to understand that problem definition is very key. Example I can provide is your thesis that you are writing. There are people who are writing the thesis, but their problem is not clear. If the problem is not clear, the implication is very straightforward. When you are done with the thesis, you might not even know exactly what you were seeking to achieve. So always problem definition is very, very important. How do you identify the user needs? Empathy mapping and personas development is very key. Then visualizing touch points and experience design. When we say touch point, we are talking about the various interfaces where the customer interact with the brand or interact with the product or service. So those touch points are very, very key. It could be the customer service desk, it could be an online navigation platform, it could be a company website. All these are what we call the touch points, where the customer interface with the brand. And therefore, you need to make sure that if you say you are providing customer experience with relation to customer service, then the experience must be what we call seamless. When we say seamless experience, experience without blemish, experience without any hitches here and there. It is quite a very daunting task because you are not going to get it so easy. But then with hard work and precision, you will be able to achieve that. So today we will critically explain the problem framing. How do we frame the problem? Apply qualitative techniques, construct empathy maps and personas, and develop journey maps and evaluate the service touch points. These are the most critical things that we have to look at. And when we are able to get it done, you realize that the problem definition is not difficult. So when we say empathy, it comes with the concept of creativity. So design thinking as a human-centered innovation. It's human-centered because humans, those that we are solving their problems, ought to be part of the problem-solving process. That is why I don't know whether I've told the class about what we call the SD logic. When we say SD logic, we say service dominant logic. And the concept of service dominant logic is about what we call value co-creation. We say value co-creation because the framework, it is not a theory, it's a theoretical framework. What SD logic is saying is that for value to be delivered, because in marketing now, marketers don't produce goods and services anymore. They don't deliver goods and services anymore. We pass that stage. Now we create value for the customer. That is the hallmark of marketing now. It's not about providing goods and services as we used to define. That was way then. But now, no, we offer value to the customer. And the best way to offer value to the customer is that the customer ought to be involved in the creation of that value. If the creation of that value is not done through the involvement of the customer, that means it's like more or less take it or leave it. And that will not help, because out there's competition. And the only way you can compete effectively is that you need to engage the customer. So how do we engage the customer? We say the problem-solving process is about what? Human-centered pathway. That simply means that we need to empathize with the customer through research and other things to put ourselves in the shoes of that customer. Then we move on to what we call the concept of creativity. We have to be creative. We cannot just do the same thing and expect different results. No. So what is the nature of creativity that comes to fore? And let's use delivery of tertiary education as a concept of creativity. Here we are, because of technological innovation and also the development around the world. Now, it is not every time that we need to sit in the lecture room. There must be delivery platforms that is creative and therefore give everybody the comfort of your of what we are seeking. In the 4 P's of marketing framework, they say product, price, place, promotion. Marketing literature is telling us that if the customer is the focus, then we have to even migrate from the 4 P's to the 4 C's. And the 4 C's is like more customer focused than the 4 P's. We talk about product, place, promotion, and price. So what do? We say, instead of saying product, we say the first C should be what? Customer solution. Why? Because we offer solution to the customer problem. The reason why you are buying a laptop is not for having a laptop sake, but rather probably you want to type your assignment. So the laptop seller is coming to you that in order for you to be able to submit your assignment that is typed, you need a laptop. So the laptop here is providing what? The solution. That's why we are saying that the product now becomes customer solution. And the solution that we give to the customer then give the value that we offer. If the solution is shoddy, the customer will not place any value on it. So it is always important that we empathize with the customer. Then I said, like price, we say customer cost. In order to provide solution to your problem, it's going to cost you. And that cost component is something that cannot be taken for granted. So yes, the customer is buying value, and the value that we offer through worth how much the customer is exchanging for that value. Then we say place, which is distribution. We link it to what we call customer convenience. And what is the nature of the convenience we are talking about? Let's look at service delivery, especially, the example is at the banks. What do we do? Now, banks don't close. The physical branch can close, but the banking transaction can still take place in other platforms through omni-channel service delivery or omni-channel integration. Banks have different avenues of delivering the banking transactions to their clients without necessarily for them to be at the banking hall. So that is customer convenience. And that convenience is very, very important. We need to design in such a way that the customer will see the value of what we are offering. Else, we are just wasting our time. Then the last one, we say customer communication. Key to every, especially service delivery, is communication. If you don't communicate very well, you are missing out, because communication is the key, especially in this era that we find ourselves, where customers are not just recipients of messages, but rather they become what? Active members within the framework. So, like example, if we have a lot of customers who are younger, then we know that engagement is one of the key things that we cannot take for granted. Because in the modern communication space, it's a two-way communication affair, and therefore customer engagement is one of the key tenets of that. So we need to be able to understand that. Based on that, the concept of creativity is one of the key issues we have to think about. And we are also not supposed to live a life where we are afraid to experiment, because experimentation will also bring about innovation. That innovation will lead to systems thinking, where we are able to develop quite a robust and creative, innovative way of serving our customers. So what is the role of problem definition in innovation? It prevents solution fixation. When we are able to define the problem very well, we are not fixated about the things we are doing, like we glorify it because we think that that's what's supposed to be done. We have to know critically what the customer wants. It enables opportunity recognition, because once we are able to define the problem very well, we know the opportunities that are in for us. If we don't know the opportunities that are in for us, we will not recognize it. And in marketing, the external marketing environment, that is what normally we call the PEST factors. We'll look at it, always present us with what opportunities and threats. So there must be some kind of mechanism to identify which opportunities is coming within the marketing environment that we can take care of. Then the concept of what problem solving will also support value co-creation, as I said, because we define the value, the problem very well, that we know what exactly is at stake with regards to the customer. Do we understand it, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do we frame the problem? We say framing, explore ambiguity. Ambiguity here, we are talking about this. You don't define the problem in a complex terms, because when you define it in a complex terms, you might not even know what solution you are supposed to offer. Make it be simple, let it be straightforward, and it help you in delivering the best service. So you have to look at how ambiguous the problem is and how can we calm down. Then we say solving the problem is to generate solution to it. So if you are able to move away from ambiguity, it becomes an easy task. And that's why the question and answer sessions need to be quite straightforward. Don't use your jargons on them because they want solution to their problem. It is not there that you are coming to tell them that you understand your work very well and therefore you want to sound too complex. When you do that, you are not solving a problem. You are rather making the situation complex. And that is what has affected a lot of Africans' leadership, because we sound so complex about something that's supposed to be straightforward and simple. It becomes quite complex because of the way we sound. I watched a WhatsApp video where the government spokesperson was asked a simple question about inflation. And the analogy was like, I was like, Jesus Christ, so is that the best you can offer? Somebody in secondary school is asking you a simple question. Instead of you to come to terms, in terms of come down to the level in order to explain it, you are not talking about there's no correlation between two variables and no. How is the person going to understand? At the end of the day, yes, you went there, but you didn't make any impact because you were not able to articulate your views in a simple terms for them to do. So if you want to generate solutions, let's ask them. It's not about, let me use this as an example. Let's say, like what politicians do, you have a situation where the locality don't have water. And the water is not by you have not provided water, but you have mechanized boreholes and they keep on breaking down. So what experience are we pushing to? Instead of us to define the problem as whether people know how to use the mechanized borehole, we go and define the problem is why is the boreholes breaking down? When you define it that way, the boreholes are breaking down, that's your problem. But probably what to do if you have done a better job with regards to the way you empathize with the people. Probably these are people who don't have any technical knowledge as to how to use a mechanized borehole. So you fix it, they go there to fetch the water and they break it down. It is broken down and you get angry. And this has been some of the critical areas, critical reasons why we normally, politicians always fail, because they don't take their time to empathize with the people and find out exactly what the problem is. Sometimes with certain features so that what we think will lead to the breakdown will go away. If we are able to maybe do observational research by looking at the way they even fetch water, we'll be able to understand the things that we're supposed to improve in order for them to constantly have water. But if we go and define the problem is that they break boreholes down without knowing why, it becomes a challenge. So how might we approach this? Reframe the problem as an opportunity. What can we do to eliminate frequent breakdown of what the mechanized borehole? Or how should we be able to let the customer buy our product without coming to the shop? That means the problem is providing opportunities. And based on that, it will lead us to encourage creativity, which is the hallmark of marketing, because creativity brings about innovation, and innovation brings about customer satisfaction if it is well thought through. So what are the needs involved? We see we have explicit need and we have what latent needs. Let me, when we say a variable is latent, let me gear off into the research that you are doing. Those of you doing quantitative study, when we say a latent variable, we are talking about independent variables. That variables are not all that is supposed to be there, but what will be its effect in addressing a common need that we have. So in marketing, we say omni-channel integration, quality will lead to brand advocacy and brand defense. The latent variable here is omni-channel integration. So it depends on whatever variables we define omni-channel integration quality. That is what is there. It is there already. It has already been provided. What will be its result in terms of what? Brand advocacy and brand defense. If the integration quality is high, then the dependent variable, that is the latent variable, and that is the resultant variable. What we seek to achieve with it will be realized. If the quality of integration is poor, it has effect on what? The brand loyalty. That's what it is. So if the needs are explicit, we need to know. If it is not directly connected to what we seek to achieve, but it aids it, we have to know. Then delight needs is what we feel is the best, but that is not what always we have to make sure that it's the customer rather that is delighted about whatever we are providing. And challenges come when we come to, like, let's say an app. We are navigating our way through an app. What are the key challenges here? It could be functional challenges, it could be emotional challenges, it could be social challenges, it could be economic challenges, or it could be what? Cognitive challenge. Let's pick them one after the other. The functional challenge will come from where? Who can tell us? Let's use elementary understanding of functional. So when we say there's a functional challenge, what does it mean?
Doc, I want to try.
Yes, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, so when you say functional, then you are looking at the operationality of the design or the thought.
Yes. In terms of performance, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's very good. It is like the operationality of it. How is it working? And how effective has it been? What about emotional? My ladies, are you there?
Doc, I try.
Oh, no, emotions want to be answered by ladies.
All right.
Yeah, so when we say emotional challenge, what does it mean? Oh, yes, please, ladies. I don't want to mention names, so please.
Oh, can I lead?
Yeah, Eric leads. The ladies don't want to talk.
In fact,
so.
I want to say that it's human-centered. You empathize. You put yourself in place of the humanness of the design.
Yeah, so that's it. Like probably based on the underperformance of the functionality, the person becomes emotional, right? And therefore, he's challenged to say a whole lot of things concerning what the mechanisms are. So, with emotions, it becomes too kind of personal and dear to the heart. And therefore, this is where we as service providers need to be very careful. Because when they become emotional and it's not positive, if we don't take it, that will be the end of us, because they will not patronize whatever is being given to them. I don't know whether you have read this. I think it's a very old book, The Beggar's Strike. Have you heard of it before?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know, the beggars became so emotional to the extent that when they were being even offered gifts, they decided to also boycott the gift because of the past actions of the one providing the gift. So that's how emotions really work. And when we are providing solutions, we have to be careful, especially, let's say, the banking sector. You say people shouldn't come to the banking hall, but they can use ATM or maybe the bank app. Here's the case: the app is not functioning and the branches ATMs are also not functioning. Then also the link ATM, that is a kind of a network. Your system is down, so even they cannot use a different bank's ATM to withdraw money or maybe make any other transactions. It becomes so emotional. And we need to know that those challenges can affect them. The social is actually deal with the element of interactivity among the customers, because remember, now we are talking about brand communities, and people ought to be to be able to interact with others. So brand communities are very, very important in now current service delivery, especially when it comes to online related activities. So you cannot take it for granted. There is one particular example at the conference that came up and was very interesting. User experience and empathy. They set up community pipe-borne water, like in the form of, let's say, a borehole, where people are supposed to fetch water. But they realize that the borehole keep on breaking down. This was not about knowing not having the know-how to operate it, but rather it was taking a very serious social need away. And what is that social need? It turned out to be that when the ladies decide to go and fetch water at the stream, it's there that they talk about their worries and other things among themselves. So bringing the borehole to the village square where it is visible for everybody, they saw it as something that would take their social life away, and therefore they were not interested. So, like I said, the person providing the borehole will say, the people, I don't know how they think, but there's a borehole, but they are still going to the stream. Why? Because they will attack that particular facility on a defensive manner, because that is not their interest. Their interest is the social connection that they use in talking about each other and sharing their worries, which is being taken away. So the social interactivity is also very important in every kind of delivery, depending on the nature of the product or service. Then economic look at the concept of how much, because remember, the law of they say marginal utility theory. I would say, let me put it that way. Marginal utility theory is the additional satisfaction that the consumer gain after consuming one more unit of a product. This is elementary economics. When people are buying items, they place value on it. That is why when you are thirsty and I give you a bottle of water and I say it is 10 Ghana cedis, depending on the level of how thirsty you are, you will buy. But after consuming one bottle, if I give you another one and I say it is still 10 Ghana cedis, you will tell me that no, I have to reduce the price. Why? Because in your mind, the satisfaction that you get from the consuming of the other bottle of that water is not the same as the first, and therefore you want to equate it to the value that you offer, and therefore you say bring the price down, because you want to bring the price, which is the value, at par with the satisfaction. So people buy items based on the economic functionality of those items, and therefore they don't take that for granted. You need to get that. Then the last aspect of it is the cognitive, which is cognitive just got to do with the state of your mind. What is it, your IQ and the way you think about things is very important. And sometimes when people treat things with suspicion, they are not willing to open up for you to understand why they behave that way. So based on that, the key thing that we need to do is that we need to research, and research will help us. So we have ethnographic research, which actually look at, it's more or less a longitudinal approach, where people look at, like the researcher will stay with the people for a very long time and see the way they interact. Then contextual inquiry, I've seen quite a couple of it happening even in your thesis that we are writing. There are some people, they make like this study has been done here, but has never been done in Ghana. That's what they are saying. And yes, in context, but in research, especially when you're writing your thesis, it has not been done in Ghana, and so what? With me, that's what I will ask you. What is so unique about Ghana that we have to research on the same area with it? Is Ghana presenting certain kind of variables or a situation which requires an inquiry? If you just say it has not been done in Ghana, you have not said like much. You need to be able to provide a convincing argument. We lecturers, we write papers. And when you bring about what we call the conceptual reason why you want to write on the paper, any reviewer will throw it away, because unless you make a compelling argument that maybe Ghana has got this, and that in terms of demography, the context, and even availability of infrastructure and other things that call for it to add to the body of knowledge, then the reviewer can accept it. But if you say context, meaning from context, yes. But when it comes to product service delivery, yes, context really help, because it will help you to uncover certain kind of situations that you don't have, like that either you don't know. So yes, contextual inquiry is there. Then ethnography, look at it, just deal with the relationship between they say it is network, like internet and geography put and ethnography put together. Online communities, we are linking, how is the linkages like? So the net bring about what a link between individual people and how they operate. So the ethnography, in most cases, look at the behavior of people online in terms of the brand communities, and the way they react towards certain things is the direction, and lead to what we call the service safaris, where what service are we providing with regards to that. So all these are key things that can be used in dealing with that. So like the concept of ethnography, like environment, online communities, physical settings, data source, digital interaction, face-to-face observation that we have with people. And it is low cost. The cost is low. Ethnography is high because ethnography look at things at a very longer period. And because here it is linked with online, it is faster. Ethnography is slower because we need to uncover certain behaviors within a very long time, especially those who engage in what we call longitudinal research. If it is not extreme community kind of related activity, a lot of our work is done in what we call cross-sectional research. When we say cross-sectional research, we collect the data within a particular time. It is not all that lengthy time. We are done. Once we get certain, like let's say we work with about 400 respondents, we are done. Smart PLS can analyze it for us because it's more than 150, then we move away. And like I said, ethnography will be what global band because of what the online nature of it. Whilst ethnography will look at location bound, like we are looking at just Safran Place area and what is happening there. Any question, please? Okay, so the affinity mapping got to do with the cluster qualitative data that we have. We identify teams and we review the patterns. So first, we group the data into a quantifiable nature or clusters. Then we identify the teams. What are the things that goes through? What is like cutting across? Is everybody saying hunger, hunger, hunger? That is what the team. Or maybe money, no food, money, no food. They are teams. Or maybe they say bad customer experience, bad customer experience. Then that will review what we call the patterns. And once we know the patterns, especially in qualitative research, once we know the patterns, then we'll be able to deal with that. So with empathy mapping, we're looking at what behavior, emotions, cognition, and motivation. What has been the behavior of the people we are serving? Then the next one is what has been their emotions and how do they comprehend what issues, the issues which are at stake. That's cognition, and that will motivate them to take certain actions. So maybe your behavior has created certain emotion and therefore they have negative thinking about you. It will motivate them to boycott your service or your product. So always we need to understand it. And the key thing is what advanced empathy map. When you go online, you can search empathy maps and you see how it is done. What people say, what they think, what they does, what the person says, what the person thinks, what the person does, what the person feels, influences the context, the pain, and the gain. So maybe I'm frustrated about the service delivery. So I think it's not the best. And therefore, I'm not all that inclined towards even utilizing the service or the app. Then I feel that it's a waste of time. It will have influence on me. And in that context, I think I have pain, and therefore there's a challenge. But if it is working very well, there's either pain or there's what gain. So that is how it is. What example can I give? We all know the usage of this e-switch card when it was introduced. As a matter of fact, that was introduced. I wasn't in the country, so I don't know, but we like way back, you will hear quite a lot of things about Ghana and this. quite refreshing. Like they're supposed to use. Are people not using? You see. Then it got to do with the fact that you have your money on that wallet in the form of a card, but here you are, you get to the marketplace or maybe the sales point or the point of sale, and the card is not, the machine is not functioning. So you don't know what to do. Service mission, because as soon as those standards are taken away or the threshold is not met, and people start having negative feeling about it, that actually kills the entire process. So instead of the gains in terms of convenience and safety, because if you have the card, nobody can steal your money. The gains have been rather replaced by the pain, because I have the card all right, but I cannot access, buy the product or whatever. Though you are doing it too emotional, either they act positively or negatively, and it doesn't cause, the negative emotions will trigger something, and it creates a whole lot. Because of the fact that the machine is not working, trust formation is gone, and therefore satisfaction drivers are also gone. But if emotional trigger is good, transformation is stronger, then satisfaction is what's driven by the emotions. So people need to understand this, and therefore we service providers need to all the time make sure that we are able to get it right. It is not easy, like you get it right, but you need to make what we call a stronger effort to get it right. Now, leading to that is the concept of personas. And I don't know, I think maybe your next class, we will be having what we call digital brands and dynamic capability management. Brands have now, like over the years, we have converted brand into personalities. That's why we say persona. What do you stand for? BMW say they thrive on performance, and therefore they have a slogan. They say the ultimate driving machine. What are they trying to say? They are trying to equate the car to a human being who can perform his or her duty effectively without any struggle. Volvo is noted for safety. So personas are very, very important, because it leads to what we call behavioral segmentation based on the communities that you find yourself. So people behave certain way towards your product, and they form brand community for it. Psychographically, yes, they have in their mindset that the brand is good, and therefore they will advocate for the brand. In a situation where they don't have that, nothing motivates them. But if they have that, the motivation is very, very high. So, like, there is what we call brand archetypes. And brand archetypes always help in shaping the brand. So that is why marketers take a very long effort, like long time with effort to build a brand. It hasn't come easy because you see maybe a product like Sony and you see a product like Sanyo, which one will you go for? You go for Sony because psychologically you know that it will function very well. But when they talk about Sanyo, you say, well, which brand is that? So motivation to purchase an item is linked to some of these psychographic variables. And we marketers, we need not to take it for granted because that is what is going to motivate the consumer in buying whatever is needed, or maybe patronizing our products, and especially become brand loyal, because loyalty is at the hallmark of marketing. We need it than any other thing. And therefore, our actions all need to do that. So personas are there. We say some are goal-oriented, some are behavioral. When they say whatever we are trying to provide is what goal-oriented, that means we need to achieve the result. And we need to shape behavior based on the fact it is. Then proto is what the quick hypothesis-driven persona developed using team knowledge, stakeholder assumption, existing experience, secondary data, and early insight. We want to provide a solution to a problem. How do we provide a solution? We come out with mind mapping. And if we are coming out with that, what are the various issues that we can use? One, got to do with the proto, goal-oriented, or extreme. The extreme will represent users with what? Unusually high or low behavior needs or experience compared to typical users. So here, what are we trying to say from here? Persona development is very key in knowing the type of customers we are dealing with, and therefore the way we have to address them. Based on that, when we are trying to develop a concept, we need to make sure that we understand the issues, and therefore we'll be able to develop those personas. Like we say, empathy. So put yourself. If the customer who is a goal-oriented always want to achieve the physical functionality of the product, and therefore he's buying the item not based on the fact that the item represents his or her image, by looking at what the economic functionality of the product, and therefore that is how they will be based. So we have to put our people into those teams and let them work. Based on that, they say personas have also got what we call limitations. Stereotyping risk is one, static representation, or overgeneralization. Stereotyping, oh, but those people, that's how they are. Let's just give them anything, because even whatever you do, they will still not be more brand loyal. Politicians say that a lot. They say, oh, these particular people, in their locality, they will not vote for you. So don't let us waste our time. There are some people too, in terms of the same issues, people are static in terms of representation. They are not open to new things, and therefore we have to make sure that we understand them. And stimulus generalization is like overgeneralization. That's how all of them are. Like a lecturer will teach and say, now the students, all of them don't learn. I mean, how can you make such a statement? That you are generalizing the issue, or telling somebody that when I hear that, I myself, I feel so irritated. Like somebody say, oh, as for that man, you don't know anything. How can a human being don't know anything? Doesn't mean that a person we don't know his name, his or her name. But we used to say that we are overgeneralizing the issue, because anything is what? It is subjective. And therefore, we have to understand it from that perspective, and that helps us in addressing it. That. So the customer journey, that's the journey mapping, the user experience over time. How is the customer like dealing with our product or service over time? How many channels are we integrating, bringing them together? Because like I said, if somebody, I think January intake can go for that particular area, omni-channel integration. If you go for omni-channel integration, I will supervise that work, because now that is what the new area that is coming in. So omni-channel integration is one of the key things. And always there is experience gap that need to be filled. Yes, they can navigate their way through the online shopping app, but when it gets to payment, they are frustrated. That means there's a gap that ought to be filled. Probably we need a third-party vendor to join us in order to fill that gap, or if we can provide it in-house, we should be able to deal with that, because like I told you, the customer is embarking on a journey, and it is a touch point. From when you start interacting with the product till the time the service is experienced or the product is bought, all these are certain experiences that they go through. And we have to make sure that it is as seamless as possible. When we empathize with the customer, you are able to achieve that. If you don't, it is a challenge. Then the journey maps layers, we have actions, we have thought, we have emotions, we have touch points, and we have opportunities. Actions is the way we behave. Thought is what we are thinking about, and how emotional the customer is are all part of the journey. And when he starts interact with the brand, that's the touch point. What has been our attitude? Maybe is a hotel service. The touch point is maybe the front desk. And the customer gets there and the people there are unfriendly at all. It is quite frustrating. And when it frustrates you like that, it moves you back into emotions, which becomes probably negative, and therefore opportunities are what missed. We don't want opportunities to be missed, because we need to have what we call customer lifetime value. And when we say customer lifetime value, how much per our projection we will enjoy from the customer. It is very, very important, because every serious marketing organization think about what we call the lifetime value of the customer. And when we say the lifetime value, like we take maybe Ken, we know that, okay, Ken is our customer. We expect that Ken will be with us for 5 years. And we can make an estimate as to averagely how much we buy from us every month. And that helps us in making that projection that that's the lifetime value of that customer. So, like I said, touch points are interaction nodes and help in trust building and brand perception. If the interaction points are okay, we build trust, because they know that, oh, the people are professional. Then the perception is that the brand is good. If not, the brand is bad and be a problem. Then emotional curve, we have peak experiences, frustration points, and drop-off rates. Peak experiences are there where the customer enjoy whatever we are offering and they're happy. They have certain instances where they are also frustrated based on maybe our inability to deliver. But if that one becomes so high, then they drop off. And that is the risk involved. Like they join your site, like they log on to your site. The site started giving them the positive experience, then all of a sudden frustration set in because you are not using the best server. And based on that, they decide to abandon the journey in terms of online journey. That is not key. So always you have to internalize everything by making sure that you are always looking at it, looking at the customer as you, and therefore, whilst you don't want to go through frustration, the customer also shouldn't go through anything at all. Do we understand it, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, what we will say is that, well, I've already spoken about omni-channel integration. It is the key definition for omni-channel integration is the synergistic effect of bringing multiple channels together to deliver product or service to a customer, without any hitches here and there. That is the integration quality. And the quality is based on the fact that the customer is actually enjoying the journey. When it's like that, you'll be able to personalize the service, and also customer retention will come in. If it is bad, you cannot retain the customer, and therefore you will struggle to understand. So in summary, problem definition drive innovation, empathy enables designs to work very well, then journey mappings improve the strategy that we have. All this we need to be aware of. We as the service provider, or the product providers, we need to be aware of that. These are the key things that drive us in everything that we do. Any question, please? Okay, so yes, it's evening. Some of you are already tired. So we will end the class here for today. God willing, Saturday, we take it from there. And as we move on. But class rep, look at this face-to-face thing and let us know whether it is something that is going to be in occurrence or not, because I don't know how.
Okay, sir.
Please let me know.
Okay, sir. All right. Okay.
Do we have a lot of people traveling from far to Accra? Do we know?
Yes, so yes, sir.
How many of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
There are some coming from Buta region, and then Upper East, and then Takra. We are three here.
I'm Burkum.
And Volta region.
And then the Upper East, man.
I'm not sure about this.
And we have Kofodia.
Oh, well, Bogodia is here, so.
There's a Koforia.
You there, you are close.
But Upper is, I think. You can find out the lesson, okay? Because I don't know if it is face to face and people are coming. That means people will leave tomorrow. I don't know. Let's just get the feedback and we'll communicate, okay?
Okay, sir.
For me,
Sir, the slides. I didn't find them on LMS.
you didn't find out on where?
On LMS.
I think it's yet to be loaded. Or
I went there, I didn't see. Okay, I'll go there again.
Yeah, but no, I give them justice afternoon. If justice is not around, probably it will take maybe a day or two to upload it.
Okay, sir.
Because you see, like I said, I don't have any access to give you the slides, unlike the other classes that we are the ones who provide the Zoom, so we have a WhatsApp page on that. So let Ken follow up. Kenneth follow up with it and let's see.
All right, sir.
Because in the assignment itself, you need to have it. If you are not getting it, please prompt me because you have only 2 weeks to get it done. And assignment is not anything difficult. What I've done is I've given you pointers as to the things I expect. So the assignment itself is short, but I've put a lot of information in there for you to navigate your way through. All right, so let's get it done and let's see. All right, so have a good evening and thank you for coming then.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening, sir. All right. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
All right, bro. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.